Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I am your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 128, a Thanksgiving special, as we're also going to preview the week 13. It is my great pleasure to welcome into the bar Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing this holiday weekend?
I am living life like a flex player. Could go either way.
Is that about football or something else? What are we talking about here? All right.
Mystery.
Very good. All right, guys. In this episode, again, we have a jam-packed show for you guys today to fill up your bellies and your hearts for this Thanksgiving weekend. We are going to set the slate for this weekend's primetime games, and I think there's more primetime games than non-primetime games this week. We're also going to check in on the player news and practice reports, check in on the activity of our waiver wire. We will also go over this week's matchups in the Wingman Fantasy Football League as the playoff push is tightening, and we'll see who's on top of the newest RSN Index Power Rankings, and we'll have our starts of the week. We also have another installment of a fourth and long with Bernie. We'll take a quick glance at our trade watch, and we take a look at another matchup in our Wingman Jam, and of course, we will dive into the mailbag. But first, let's start off with some news and notes setting up the primetime games, as this week there are no teams on bye. No excuses, people, although I already have a few in the back of my mind.
Wait, Michael. Yep.
You're right.
You're not talking to anybody. Let's make sure everybody's here.
Yeah, we got to make sure everyone's in the... excuse me. Wingman Assemble! Thank you for keeping my head on straight there. All right, now that everybody's here, let's set this weekend slate here, as there are no teams on bye. Like I said, no excuses for your teams not doing their absolute best, except I've got 3 already in my back pocket ready to use at a moment's notice. Don't make me have to use them. All right, let's set the schedule for these primetime games. Is on Thursday, Thanksgiving this week. We have 3 games, starting off with the Chicago Bears looking to wake from their hibernation to take on the surging Detroit Lions. That game starts at noon Eastern time. The second game of the day on Turkey Day is the New York Giants taking those big steps down to Big D to take on those Dallas Cowboys at 4:30 p.m. And the finale, the nightcap on after your nap there, we have the Miami Dolphins are going to swim their way into some colder waters as they take on the Green Bay Packers at 8:20 p.m. We're just going to stop right here because we have so many games. What are you looking forward to on these Thanksgiving Day games?
Oh, well, 2 excellent MVP caliber quarterbacks playing. Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush. That 4:00 game, I don't think I'm going to skip my nap. I'm going to skip my turkey nap to watch that 4:30 game right there.
As you mentioned, that is the perfect time to take a turkey nap. That is, you're not going to miss anything. That's great. All right.
Miami.
Yeah, that's a big game.
On the night game there, buddy, yeah.
I don't know the stat memorized, but it was something like they're 0-something when they play in games and temperatures under 40 degrees, and it's going to be a cold night in Green Bay. Why do these NFL schedule makers, we already know they're on my bad side, they do this on purpose. They're like, it's going to be a really hard, cold day. They have the night games in Green Bay. The Sunday night game is in Buffalo. It's like, Oh, we're about player safety. Go out there and break your backs on the ice hard field, you jackasses. It's like, what are you guys doing?
I know. If they only had like a game, one of these games that was played in a dome, they could move that to the night game. Oh, they do. It's the Detroit game. They could just flex that into the night spot. That is, the team. So,
yeah, all about safety, but they'll have you play on 3 days rest on the frozen field. All right, guys, whatever. All right. Don't forget this year, is this the second or third year, at least the second year, there's going to be a Black Friday game on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and it makes complete sense to me to have the Las Vegas Raiders heading to the AFC West rivals, Kansas City Chiefs, as we have the black jerseys for Black Friday. I hope they were black. I'll be very disappointed. What do you think about this particular game of AFC West teams here? Obviously, the Raiders aren't playing for much but pride, but they tend to give Chiefs all they can handle in these games.
Yeah, I like it. I like the divisional games. It's always a good matchup. It's awesome that it's on Amazon Prime, so I could just do my shopping and watch football at the same time.
Very convenient. All right, moving along to our Sunday night game. We have the San Francisco 49ers are reeling, but they are going to be mining for wins as they travel across the country to take on the Buffalo Bills at 8:20 p.m. And the final game of the week, what a kind of letdown, really, after all these great games. We have the Cleveland Browns traveling to the Mile High City to take on Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos at 8:15 p.m. The names don't sound good, but there's a sneaky chance that Browns-Broncos game could be very interesting.
Oh, man, anything with famous Jameis playing is going to be great. And Bo Nix looks like he's contending for Rookie of the Year. So I don't know, man. This might be actually a really good game.
So for those who may not know, when I was a kid, I was a Browns fan, born into it from the family here. And in that late 80s, early 90s, there were several, you could barely remember this, so long ago, but the Browns and Broncos met in the playoffs like 3 straight years where the Broncos knocked them out. So this was an old school rivalry for a period of time, but it doesn't have that same flair 30 years in the future from that point.
Oh, man. All I know is that quarterback you guys had, he had a great name. That's all I know.
I don't even know what that means.
Bernie Kosar?
Yeah, okay. I was like, he had a name. I don't know what makes it great. Okay. I was just like, did I miss something? Yeah. I just wasn't sure if there was a joke in there that I was missing. All right. All right, guys. Now let's get into some player news and practice reports. Starting off with the aforementioned Tommy DeVito is dealing with a forearm injury. He's hoping to play on Thursday, but I don't think he made it on the team plane. We'll need to check that. Check our sources on that one. But in case he can't play, we have Drew Lock looking for his redemption story as he has the backing of the locker room. Will the Giants show up in this game against the Giants? Inquiring minds want to know. Staying in New York here, Breece Hall. What is this? What is this? I'm freaking out, guys. Is dealing with knee soreness coming out of the bye week. We've had a lot of players come out of the bye week missing practice. Juwan Jennings comes to mind. I think Josh Jacobs, and they all played well. But there's a lot of people freaking out about this, and because they're freaking out, I'm freaking out. Let's just stop right here real quick. You think Tommy DeVito is going to play, and are you rooting for Drew Lock to get some redemption? And Breece Hall, am I freaking out for no reason, or is there a chance he may miss this game?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Breece Hall there. That is weird that he left a week 11 game and had the whole bye week to get rid of some soreness. So that's really concerning. I don't really care about the Giants, honestly. If Drew Lock plays, good for him. If Tommy DeVito plays, good for him. They're still going to lose to Dallas.
All right. That's a great attitude to have. Great way to go. All right. Moving on with other players here. Brock Purdy was limited on Wednesday's practice, but just like last week, limited as carrying a lot of the weight here, as he was very limited, barely threw the ball, according to reports. And that was that's what got him into last week's trouble of missing the game. Also, David Montgomery. Like I said, David Montgomery is still listed as questionable with his shoulder injury, and we are not sure of his availability going into the early game on Thanksgiving. He said coming out of Week 12 that he said he thought he could play. There's no indication saying otherwise, but it's just questionable. No resolution here. As is his teammate, Amon-Ra St. Brown is also listed as questionable with a knee injury, and Romeo Doubs has been ruled out on the Thursday night matchup as he is in the concussion protocol. All right, so what do you think about our pair of Lions here? Brock Purdy, is he going to miss again? And Romeo Doubs is already ruled out.
Yeah, Brock Purdy, that San Francisco situation, I really don't like at all. George Kittle might be the safe play there. Montgomery, at least it's the Thursday game, and we don't have to worry about it being a Sunday night game or anything like that. So you have time to make some adjustments. Listen to the news. And then Romeo Doubs, who do they have over there? They've got Wicks. They've got what's the other guy's name?
Yeah, Jaden Reed and then Christian
yeah.
Watson.
Christian Watson. So maybe those guys get a little bump, but the Dolphin defense is playing stout, so I wouldn't be too concerned about those guys getting any more than what they have.
All right. Heading back to some of our Raider news here. Zamir White is still not practicing. However, Alexander Madison has returned to a limited capacity here. So I'm kind of expecting to get back on the field, but they do play Friday, so it is a short week, so it's not guaranteed here. Isaiah Pacheco went from limited practices last week to logging full practices this week, and it looks like he may make his return in this Friday's game against the Raiders. And J.K. Dobbins has already been ruled out as he is dealing with a knee sprain in Week 13. We've got our pair of Raiders running backs, one still not practicing, one may return. Isaiah Pacheco's looking like he's getting ready to go, and J.K. Dobbins has already been ruled out.
So Abdullah and Bowers, those are going to be probably your two plays for the Raiders. Gus Edwards, that's going to be your play. And then Pacheco, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one because he's finally getting into a groove with his core because of all the injuries. Now he's getting his injury guys back, so we'll see. And who's it? Hollywood Brown is due to be back hopefully right before playoffs or during playoffs. So that's another guy on the field.
I'm feeling bad for J.K. Dobby. Mr. Potter, we were friends. But he's not going to play for a couple weeks. Does that mean Gus Edwards is going to be valuable or just a landmine? We'll have to see as these weeks progress here. Also moving along with some Commanders running backs, Austin Eckler is in the concussion protocol, and I expect him to miss this week, but there hasn't been any really updates since the Sunday game. And Brian Robinson Jr., who left the game with an ankle injury in Week 12, surprisingly has returned to practice already in a limited capacity, so we'll see if he's going to get on the field or not. But they did already sign Chris Rodriguez to the active roster, so that could be just because one guy's missing, not two. But they went, McNichols was a big waiver wire acquisition. We'll get into that a little bit later. And he may not get as much play as we think as Brian Robinson can get back on the field. Let's stop there real quick before we get these last three. What do you have on these Commanders backs and the potential promotion of Chris Rodriguez?
Yeah, is Zach Ertz, is he the tight end over there?
He is?
He is. Zach Ertz might get a little bump. I don't see McNichols taking over the backfield, but I see him being in there just so they have a running game. I don't know what his blocking is like, so I don't know how much of that. So McLaurin could get a bump, and I think Ertz could get a little bit of a bump as well.
When he's been playing McNichols, he's been getting work in the passing game. At least his stats have come that way. But he's a one of those. He's a regular size running back, a kind of a short, squatty guy. So I don't know if that's necessarily his best skill set, but that's the role he filled while Eckler was getting into shape. So I don't know if I'm not saying he can't do it all. Obviously, he's not a superstar, but he's been scoring his touchdowns more in the passing game than the running game.
Yeah, and what's his name? Jaden Daniels. He kind of looks good when he's on the move a little bit. So maybe a little motion, a little bootlegs might help out a little bit there too.
All right, we're gonna finish off with a pair of maybe irrelevant quarterbacks. It's up to you, and you decide here. Aiden O'Connell. They said he will be the starter. We weren't sure as he was coming off a broken finger, a broken thumb, I believe. He's been inactive the last several weeks, but with Gardner Minshew being out for the year, they were looking to bandage up that thumb as quick as possible to avoid seeing a Ritter appearance on Friday. So Aiden O'Connell is going to make the start for the Raiders. Daniel Jones has joined the Minnesota Vikings, ending their hopes for a long playoff run this season. And Trevor Lawrence is expected to practice this week, and it looks like he may make his return. He obviously didn't opt for the surgery, which was the big indicator whether he was going to be done for the year or not. So he's, like we said, he's not always good, but he tries to play through his ailments. What do you have on these mediocre type quarterbacks, O'Connell, Jones, and Lawrence?
I don't have anything on O'Connell. Lawrence is Lawrence. He's good. If he comes back, that's great. Are you really starting anybody over there, though? Honest. Oh, wait, you are, aren't you? No, you're not. You're not starting anybody over there. Yeah, that like Jacksonville. I don't know what to think about Jacksonville anymore. But my favorite guy to talk about, Mr. DJ himself, Daniel Jones. I'm so excited he's back in the league. I'm not worried about it. He picked the team that he threw his first touchdown pass to. So I believe it was Van Ginkel was his first touchdown pass. So why would he not pick that team?
Took me a second. I was like, wait, they play for the coach? Or oh, that's right. Pick 6. Nice. Well done. Nice job, Bernie. I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
All right. Actually, I didn't write this number down, so let me do a quick check. All right, guys. It is now time to take a look at the activity on our waiver wire in the Wingman Fantasy Football League. This time around, we had 6 waiver bids on 5 different NFL players, and only 1 player received multiple bids. Starting off with our highest priced acquisition. Oh, Bernie. Taysom Hill went to Amazing Spidey for $11, and he outbid Team B, who put his standard $5 bid in.
Damn you.
We'll just stop here. I was going to put $7, but I don't want to play this guy at all, the same way you said, but I don't want him on another team's roster, especially yours, because I'm eyeing that Week 14 battle between you and me for a potential playoff berth, and I do not want to lose to Taysom Hill.
There you go. So go ahead and hit the button.
Oh, yeah, I guess a little bit. I guess I did pay a little too much.
You paid too much.
Yeah, you took that price and you said double it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next on the list here, he took some of our advice a little too much to heart here. Harrison Butker, who's currently on the IR, went to Line Ice for $8. I guess he really wanted to take advantage of the IR thing and thought, oh, he's also out of it. He's probably just trying to spend money where he can get rid of it. So he bought the Harrison Butker crypto here, and $8 for a kicker who's not playing. I would say that he spent a little too much.
You paid too much.
All right. Jeremy McNichols went to Red Sox Nation for $6. And once again, there were no other bids for Jeremy McNichols. Not a bad pick. He did that last time with Roshan Johnson, but he could get these guys on a better deal. So we're going to say he paid.
You paid too much.
And our last 2 players here were picked up for $0. Josh Carty, we know he likes to party. Kicker for the Rams, went to Team B. Nice job for $0, kicking Sly to the curb. And Caleb Williams went for $0 to Ben's brilliant team. Ben, way to go, getting ahead of the quarterback situation here. Picked up one who's going to start on Thursday. I'm assuming he's going to put him right in his lineup. This is not to make fun. This is just to have fun. Ben, we appreciate the activity here and getting yourself a quarterback ready to go. All right, what do you think about Line Eyes getting Butker for $8? McNichols, probably the best player on this list, but for $6 against himself. Cardi, kicker to you, and Caleb Williams for $0 to Ben.
Yeah, Line Eyes definitely picked up Butker. He saw him available out there. His politics line up perfectly, so he picked him up right away because he wanted him on his team as his mascot.
Wow.
Jeremy McNichols. And if I'm wrong, Line Eyes, just let us know.
I would assume you were, but I might be mistaken.
No, all fun and games. Red Sox Nation picking up McNichols. That's good. I don't know if he's going to start him, though, because there's no bye weeks. So he's holding on to him for some reason. And he is the reigning champ. So I'll just say good pickup because he knows what he's doing more than I do. And then I almost spent money on Cardi, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
All right. And what do you think about Ben getting on the waiver wire move here?
Yeah. I see that Ben getting up there, getting Caleb. Ben, he's still out there. You should go ahead and pick up a backup to the backup on your team. Go ahead and get Bryce Young as well, bud.
All right. I think he still has Gabe Davis on his team, who's not in the IR spot, who's on the IR. So that's an easy drop, or get it whatever position, not necessarily quarterback, but you can. An easy player to get a bolster your bench. He's in a big playoff push. He's got to win as well.
Yeah.
All right, now it is time to see who's playing who in this week's matchups.
I want you! I want the stallion! Ready, down! Put!
This week's matchup.
All right, like we mentioned, we are down to the last 2 weeks of the regular season. We still have 9 teams alive to make the playoff, the 6 playoff spots, although we do have one team in Kubert's Rage who's already clinched. So that means we have 8 players fighting for the final 5 slots, and nothing is guaranteed. As our first matchup is 7-5 Amazing Spidey against 7-5 They Took Our Jobs. This is a huge game. Amazing Spidey cannot get any of the tiebreakers. He can't beat him in points, and he can't beat him in division record. So he's going to have to win this game and hope for an Alex loss next week to have a chance to even have a chance to get the division here. What do you have on this game? This game is making me sweat already.
Yeah, buddy. I don't even know what to say. They Took Our Jobs has Josh Allen, has Derrick Henry, has Saquon Barkley. I mean, right there, you've got at least six rushing touchdowns between all three of those, at least six rushing touchdowns. And then on the other side, you've got Kyler Murray, and then you've got Bijan Robinson. So you're only getting like 4 possible rushing touchdowns out of those two, because you also have Breece Hall, and he might not even play. Josh Jacobs did get 3 touchdowns last week, if I'm correct. Is that correct?
It is correct, yes.
Yeah. So you got a little chance there. So I'm going to lean towards They Took Our Jobs because he is stout. Both of you are projected over 100 points, though, which is pretty awesome.
We have similar makeup of team. I actually selected Mahomes ahead of Josh Allen, and right when I did, I hit myself, and I've since traded away Mahomes, obviously. But our running backs are the core of our team. He's got the big boys. He's got Saquon, Henry, and James Conner. I got the skinny, fast guys with Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, and Josh Jacobs is with those big boys a little bit. So it's going to come down to those guys, and his guys are just more consistent. It's going to have to come down to some big-time performances from those scat backs.
Yeah, I'd say so. But you also have Taysom Hill going against the Rams, and the Rams look like they could get taken advantage of, and he's on your bench. You might want to just go ahead and plug him in, man.
He what are you doing? He's gonna be so hard. That's why you got rid of him. You're like, I have him on my team, and I don't want to play him, but when he's there, it's like, well, why not?
He had 41 points last week, and you've got Hall. If you start Hall and Hall comes up with 5 points and he gets pulled out of the game, and Taysom Hill sitting with 1 rushing touchdown and 1 receiving touchdown and or passing touchdown, and you just paid $11
for it. All right, let's move on to our next game here. These guys couldn't be polar opposite in how their seasons have been going, especially as of late. We've got Reggie's Lions on a 3-game losing streak and at 3-9, up against Paul's Cubert Rage at 9-3 and on a 3-game winning streak. All right, what do you have in this game? Is there a chance for an upset? He can't knock him out of the playoffs, but he could knock him out of a payday if he can bring Paul's Cubert Rage down a peg.
Yeah, I think there is a chance here. Lionized has Lamar Jackson going up against Cubert Trade's Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels has not been playing up to the caliber as he did earlier this season. So there's a win there. James Cook against Jahmyr Gibbs for Lionized. There's a win there because Montgomery might be out, so Gibbs might get a little extra there. Jefferson against McLaurin. If Daniels is going to have a down game, you're going to take a down game from McLaurin. But Jackson Smith and Jigba for Lionized might be the player that turns this tide and a big upset.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. In terms of his season, obviously not good for Lionized, but Jackson Smith and Jigba is one of those guys who you didn't plan on playing, who might be your steady starter going through a strong playoff run.
Yeah, for sure. And Lionized did the right thing. He's got Najee Harris on the bench because teaser alert. Mr. Warren might be on another list later on in this episode. All
right. We have another big game here. Bernie's Team B at 5-7 needs to win out to have a chance here, as 7 wins is the minimum to make the playoffs now, as we have at least 6 or 7 teams that have already have 7 wins. Up against Ken's the Fantastics, the spoiler himself, with healthy Dolphins now at 3-9. What do you have in this matchup between the Fantastics and Bernie's Team B?
Well, I like the Fantastic Squad because he's got Achane and Tyreek Hill, and I think they're going to be like, hey, Waddle, why don't you take a back seat? Let us get a little loving on the touchdowns over here. So that's good. My concern for him is he's got Deebo Samuel on his team. So Deebo has not been playing well. On the other side, I have killer running backs here. Jonathan Taylor, Ken Walker Jr., Alvin Kamara. I've got some other guy, Nick Chubb, on my bench. I've got all these stout guys, and they just can't put up RB1 numbers. So I'm just hope, man. Hope. I'm trying to stay hopeful here.
Yeah, Ken Walker. It's weird. He looks the same. And he's actually running on the field, but he's not running forward. He's running side to side and not going anywhere. Yeah. He's fast side to side, but he's not actually getting down the field. His yards per carry has been dipping. I think he's down to under 3.5 yards a carry now. In the beginning of the season, he was one of the best running backs to start the season off. So I'm not saying I think he still has it in him because he looks good in terms of speed and quickness, but he's not making the right decisions on which way to go or something. I'm not sure. He's doing the best DeAndre Swift impersonation, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, before the season started, if you would have told me, hey, these are the teams, these are the running backs on each of these teams, I would have been like, yeah, that guy, Walker, Taylor, Kamara, and Chubb on one team, yeah, that team's going to win. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I think your hope here is to the Dolphins don't tend to play well when it's cold outside, and it's going to be a frigid day out on a night game in Green Bay. I think that's your hope, is to maybe freeze out those Fantastics.
Yeah. This is why fantasy football hurts my heart sometimes. I don't want to root against the Dolphins.
I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next game here. We have Katie's King George at 4-8 up against Corey's Mac Daddy 2s, who came off the highest scoring game of the week last week. And he ended his 3-game losing streak, only 1 game behind Paul's Kubert Rage. And they play each other in the last week of the season, which may determine a payout. But he's going to have to get this win first. What do you have in this matchup between King George and Mac Daddy 2s?
At first glance, I like King George. She has Bucky Irving. She has Jerry Jeudy. She has Jordan Love. I like what I see over here. Zay Flowers. I like what I see over here. The other side, though, I'm looking at another Mahomes Kelsey stack. What did they get? Like 30-something points combined, 38 points combined last week. So that's a little troubling. But Nico Collins on Mac Daddy 2s, I think he's going to get even more points than last week. So I'm going to lean towards Mac Daddy 2s, but King George definitely has the roster for an upset.
So you mentioned those names real quick, and all those are people in consideration for starts of the week in all sorts of positions. So
exactly.
This might be a high-scoring game. I know Mac Daddy 2s has a very high projected, which is usually the kiss of death.
Mm-hmm.
But might be some fireworks in this game. This will be interesting to see.
Yeah, there is one thing on King George I'm worried about. That is Montgomery, and she does have Mr. Warren on the bench.
Okay, all right. All right, this next matchup is huge for a handful of reasons, but mostly about fantasy football, as we have a Red Sox Nation at 7-5 up against Andrew's Crazy Fish, also at 7-5. Both of these teams are obviously tied with the same record. Both these teams are 2-2 in the division. And I'm pulling up right now. Let's see how far apart they are in points. There's a hefty margin here of about 70 points ahead for Red Sox Nation. So he's got the tiebreaker in terms of points, but I don't think the tiebreaker this year is going to come down to points with these division games. This game is going to be huge. The winner of this game, if Red Sox Nation wins, he's pretty much locked up the division. If Crazy Fish wins this game, he is going to be in the driver's seat. What do you have in this matchup? This is going to be a huge game.
Yeah, it is going to be a big game. I am worried about a few players on both sides. So I am worried about Mr. Neighbors on Red Sox Nation, and I am worried about Drake London on Red Sox Nation. I think Drake London will have a good game. Drake London will have a good game. I take that back. Rico Dowdle and Malik Neighbors. Those are the two guys I'm worried about on Red Sox Nation. On the other side, I'm worried about George Pickens, and I'm more worried about Ramondre Stevens. So it's one of those things. I think Pickens, I was talking about him earlier this season about something's going on in that kid's head where he's just angry. And right before the bye, when they went out, he had some incidences going off in the last play of the game. So there's a lot of controversy going around Pickens right now. So hopefully he can get better.
So I don't want to give Crazy Fish advice at all, especially because he played our start of the week or my start of the week at quarterback, and that might have what did him in there. But Ramondre Stevenson has been struggling. Is there someone on his bench that you would consider instead of Stevenson? Again, don't take our advice. We're just talking amongst ourselves here.
Yeah, no, because if we all know he likes to put the handcuffs running backs on his team. So he's just sitting with a bunch of handcuffs on the bench. They do get a little bit of playing times, but the snap share isn't anywhere close to 50-50.
So if he wants to pivot off Ramondre Stevenson, he's going to have to drop one of the handcuffs and pick up someone who's viable for this week.
Yeah, and he's actually got a handcuff in the starting lineup with Braylon Allen right now.
Oh wow! Okay, wow. That's a big hole right. Oh well, if Breece Hall misses, that's a huge boost right now out of nowhere.
Yeah, but both of them play on the Jets.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Yeah. Another big. All these games are people are they're tied. Ben's brilliant team at 6-6 against Nick's Waddle away, also at 6-6. Both these guys are a little bit of our lower scoring teams, so they're going to need to get wins, not points. I mean, points will help, but the wins are what they need here. The good thing is one of these teams is going to get to that 7th win, which is mandatory to have a chance to make the playoffs. What do you have on this particular matchup between Ben's brilliant team and Nick's Waddle away? Oh, hold on, Nick's.
Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry about that delay.
That's all right. So Nick does have Isaiah Pacheco in his flex spot, still under the IR designation, but he does have projected points listed next to his name. So just keep an eye on that. I'm going to go ahead and lean towards Waddle away just for the simple fact that Houston is playing Jacksonville and Joe Mixon is due up. So he's got Joe Mixon on his team, and that he could be the deciding factor in this game here. On the other side, I really don't see anybody that's going to have a stellar game that's going to really come alive. A lot of Chicago assets here. Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore. Those are the first 3 players on Ben's brilliant team, and Detroit's defense is coming alive. For real.
He is going to know early the trajectory of his week. The first game on the schedule is going to be that Bears-Lions game, and he's going to know he doesn't have many other options, but I'm just saying he'll know if he needs to make up some points or he's like, all right, I'm looking pretty good. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, for sure. He's got Chicago in his lineup, and he's got Jacksonville on his bench. So he does have an empty spot, though. Maybe we can make some moves.
All right, guys. Let's take a look at our updated power rankings.
By the power of Grayskull.
I'm living in it, no one man should have all that power.
Wingman Power Rankings.
All right, taking a look at our updated power rankings. Thank you once again to Red Sox Nation with our RSN index. As we've changed the way our power rankings are set, I'm not going to go through it again as we did last time, but let's see what kind of movement we had. And we did have some, as last week, Ben's brilliant team was at the 12th spot with his improbable victory, 7-8. He has now moved up to the 11th spot, meaning that the Fantastics has fallen to the 12th spot. 12th in the standings, 12th in the power rankings. Again, Ben's in 11. King George stays at 10. Line Eyes falls 1 spot to 9, swapping places with Waddle away, who moves up to 8. Crazy Fish and Amazing Spidey also flip-flop, as Spidey is now in the 6th spot, while Crazy Fish is in the 7th. Team B is locked in at 5. Red Sox Nation is at 4, moving down a spot from 3, swapping places with Mac Daddy 2, who moves up from 4 to 3. Kubert's Rage stays at number 2, despite being our number 1 seed in the standings, but they took our jobs. Our point leader, by quite a bit actually, is our number 1 team in terms of power rankings. I will say with this new power rankings thing, it's little less volatile. So because you get a 3/4 of your points earned are based on what you've already achieved. And now that we're this far along, 1 week is only 1/12 of what the outcomes are here. So that keeps it a little more steady here. What do you think about some of this movement here? The top 2 teams are the same, just a lot of flip-flops down the line.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's got me power ranked pretty high. So I guess as just an overall team, you got a good team, kid. That's great. But do the power rankings really matter? And Red Sox Nation, we appreciate the work. And I'd like to look at it, but this late in the season, do they really matter?
Fair question. All right, guys, it is now time to get in our. I shouldn't even say this because I said it last time and we were not the case. But this week we're going to show you our new starts of the week. Bring it in. Take a knee. Who wants in?
Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
All right, son, don't let me down. You're in.
Wingman Fantasy Football. Starts of the week.
All right, guys, we have learned some lessons, and we're gonna show you how we've improved in such a short period of time. Let's start off with our starts of the week. If you could give us your quarterback start of the week to start us off.
Yes, sir. All right. Matthew Stafford. He's going up at New Orleans. You know, Stafford's performance has fluctuated, I would say, since getting both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back in the lineup, but conditions look perfect for a strong showing in the Superdome. The Saints' pass defense has been notably vulnerable recently. They're allowing big games to multiple quarterbacks since week 6. Jameis Winston had 395 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins had 306 yards. Herbert had 279 and 2 touchdowns. And Baker Mayfield had 325 and 4 touchdowns. So Matt Stafford, my QB start of the week.
All right, guys. You know I always like to try and target a few teams here, and I wasn't sure which position to go with, but I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield up against the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers give up the 6th most points to the position. They give up more to other positions, but Baker Mayfield is the heart and soul of this team, and I think he's going to show out in the game. They really need to win. Luckily, the other Atlanta got on a little bit of a losing streak when they were losing as well, but they're still down in the standings by a game or two, and they're going to have to take advantage of these Carolina matchups in the second part of the season here. So I've got Baker Mayfield as my quarterback start of the week. All right, who's your running back start of the week?
All right. Running back, I've got Mr. Jalen Warren, and they're at Cincinnati, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. So Warren emerged ahead of Najee Harris in week 12, both in snaps and production, partly due to the Steelers playing from behind and emphasizing the passing game in the fourth quarter. So Warren appears to have more explosiveness at this point in the season and energy than Harris. So potentially making him a better fantasy option regardless of the snap count. So with the Steelers likely needing to keep pace with Mr. Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense, they got T. Higgins back. Remember that. Warren should be the preferred option in the Pittsburgh backfield. Jalen Warren, running back start of the week.
So I have to say, you've been on this for a couple weeks now. You were saying you thought, I didn't see how it was going to happen. I didn't say I disagree. I just couldn't envision it. But you were saying Warren was going to start to take over in terms of either playing time and or production. And it was a little slow going, but it was. They've been getting even to flip-flopping, and now Jalen Warren has outscored Najee Harris, I think 2 straight weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it in front of me, but he's definitely getting his best games in his last 2 weeks have been his high-scoring games of the season.
Yeah.
All right, my start of the week here, I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears give up the 13th most points to the position, but they are much better on the defending the pass than the run. And I'm going this way. 1, Gibbs is awesome. 2, I'm thinking Montgomery is going to either miss this game or at least be limited in some of his touches. And Jahmyr Gibbs, we saw last year when Montgomery missed a few games, was an absolute monster, a terror on the field. So for me this week, Jahmyr Gibbs is my running back start of the week.
Very nice, very nice. All right, so for wide receiver, I have the New York Giants. I said it, New York Giants coming into town to play Dallas, and CeeDee Lamb is my start of the week. So Lamb dominated his previous matchup against Banks this season, posting 7 receptions and 98 yards and a touchdown. So while Cooper Rush replacing Dak Prescott at quarterback is this significant change, Rush has shown clear preference for targeting Lamb heavily, averaging double-digit targets per game since taking over. So though Lamb's yardage and touchdown production did decline, his target volume keeps him a must-start. So he'll split time between facing Banks on the outside and Phillips in the slot. So despite the quarterback change, Lamb remains a confident start in this Thanksgiving matchup.
Nice, nice. All right, my start of the week at the wide receiver position is Nico Collins against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who give up the 3rd most points to the wide receiver position. Nico Collins has been a little slow since coming back off of his injury. Finally had a decent game last week with a touchdown, and I think he's going to even best that this week, being one of the top 5. Well, maybe I shouldn't overpromise, but he's going to be one of the top receivers this week in a juicy matchup. Nico Collins is my receiver start of the week.
I like it. I like that one a lot.
All right, I've got I'm not putting this on the board for credit, but I really like this guy as well. My other running back that I just want to mention here, just for half credit, Bucky Irving in that game against the Carolina Panthers. He's been looking so good, getting more and more of the work. This is being less and less of a split backfield. So as my dark horse here, I easily could have picked him, but I want some of that Lions action this week. So just keep in mind, Bucky Irving is also going to have a great game this week. All right, guys, you want to review real quick? Just give us your 3 starts of the week at all 3 positions. Just run them off.
Oh, yeah. For quarterback, I have Mr. Matthew Stafford. Running back, I have Mr. Jalen Warren and Mr. CeeDee Lamb at my wide receiver position.
All right, for me, I've got Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position, Jahmyr Gibbs with an honorable mention of Bucky Irving, and Nico Collins at the wide receiver spot. All right, guys, it is now time for your... I was going to say Friday morning segment. This is a Thanksgiving morning segment, guys. It's my favorite Thanksgiving morning segment, and it should be yours. It is now time for a 4th and long with Bernie.
First down, the game's over. Go for it.
This measurement could determine the Giants'
It is
season.
time for 4th and long.
With Bernie.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to 4th and Long, where today we're cooking up something special for the 6 teams taking the field this Thanksgiving. Mike, put down that stat sheet because we're about to serve up some piping hot NFL to food comparisons that'll make you hungry for both dinner and football. Now, I know what you're saying already. I can hear it through my headphones. Every sports show, every podcast, every analyst has done the player to food comparison for Thanksgiving this year. I saw it and I read it and I was like, man, that was what I wanted to do for 4th and Long. So I changed it. We're going to do team comparisons, not player comparisons. Okay. All right. So let's get this thing started. So you know how every Thanksgiving your aunt swears this year is she's finally perfected her turkey recipe. Well, speaking of long-awaited successes, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. No, seriously. Just like how people are finally discovering that turkey doesn't have to be a dry disappointment, the Lions are actually good. I know. It feels weird saying that out loud. They're like that turkey that finally got brined properly. Took years of trial and error, but hey, better late than never. And while we're passing dishes around, let me tell you about the Chicago Bears. They're your classic dinner rolls. They're just there. Nobody's writing home about dinner rolls, right? Sometimes they come out warm and promising, but let's be honest. They're usually sitting there getting cold while everyone reaches for the good stuff. Bears fans, I love you, but you know I'm right. Now, you want to start a family argument? Bring up the Dallas Cowboys. They're your stuffing of the NFL. Everyone's got an opinion on how they should be doing it. They get more airtime than the Butterball hotline, and yet sometimes they're still left hungry. Jerry Jones is like that uncle who swears his secret stuffing recipe is unbeatable. But maybe, just maybe, Jerry, it's time to try a new approach. Speaking of disappointments, sorry, New York Giants fans, but you're serving up some canned cranberry sauce vibes this season. You know what I mean. Still got that classic shape when it plops out of the can, but it's just not quite what it used to be. Every now and then you get a decent slice, but mostly you're just remembering the good old days when it was homemade. Now, if you want some excitement on your plate, look no further than the Miami Dolphins. They're the pecan pie. Pecan? Pecan. Get in the comments. Let me know how you say it. They're the pecan pie of the NFL. Rich in explosive plays, sweet to watch when it's clicking, but sometimes it's just too much. Like that third helping of pie, they can burn you if you're not careful. But man, when it works, mwah. And finally, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers, the mac and cheese of the league. Mike, I see you nodding because you know exactly where I'm going with this. Just like how everyone's got opinions about the perfect cheese blend, Packers fans can't stop debating quarterbacks. They've gone from that aged, sharp Rodgers-Favre combination, cheddar, to the to this younger, milder love variety. But hey, the base recipe, still pure Wisconsin. All right, Fantasy fam, now it's your turn to get into the food fight. Drop us a comment with your best NFL team to Thanksgiving dish comparison. Maybe it's the Eagles are your grandma's secret recipe sweet potato casserole, or the Jets are the experimental dish nobody's quite sure about. Just let us know in the comments, and don't forget that we need to hear from you. It's what keeps this show and this segment alive. Thanks for listening. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
All right, we definitely want to keep this segment alive. Bernie put so much time and effort into it. He's like, I don't care, it could die. I'm All right, yes.
My time.
Do you like the dinner rolls a little crispy or on the soft side?
Oh man, it doesn't. I like them on the soft side, but it doesn't matter as long as I've got like enough butter to really put it on there. So I'm just tasting butter with a little bit of dinner roll. I'm good.
It's just a mechanism to get butter to your face.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're gonna do a little quick glance here at our trade watch.
Buy. Sell.
Wingman Fantasy Football Trade Watch.
All right, so the biggest trade here with the most players involved here was Mac Daddy 2s, who acquired Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, the Wingman Jam stack, against in terms of Amazing Spidey, who got Breece Hall. He traded one win in that game in Week 11, as Breece Hall definitely was the best player here. But like I said, it was the amount of games per games traded away, as Breece Hall was on bye last week, and with his new stack, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce combined for 37.96 points. He won his game by over 26 points, so he didn't need all those points. But if he did not make the trade, I'm going to guess here that he would have played Bo Nix and Tank Dell at 28.12 points. Very solid, but he got 10-plus points, and these tiebreakers for seeding is going to come down to points. So any points you can get, even if it's not in direct relation to getting an extra victory, is valuable. So he earned 10 more points in Week 12 by making the deal, and now he can go forward with a huge stack. And Breece Hall, freaking out, man. I don't know if he's going to play, and that would even make the trade he didn't know that obviously either, but that would make the trade even more valuable in terms of picking up the Kansas City stack. All right, guys, it is now time to take a look at our last week's Wingman Jam.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Wingman Jam. Bernie the Runner and Amazing Spidey. Boom shakalaka. Miami Dolphins. Kansas City Chiefs. Boom shakalaka. This game is closer than a hangnail in winter. Spidey takes this one. Bernie's going to need some more practice. All right, we had a close game there last week, Bernie. The Kansas City Chiefs had a combined, I had it and I just lost it. Where'd it go? Had a combined 37.96 points, while the Dolphins were right there at 35.98 points. Both these quarterbacks were almost identical, and the receivers were just as close. What do you think about that last week's matchup between the Dolphins and the Chiefs?
Oh yeah, that was exciting. I like that. I like that a lot. That was down to the wire, and that's okay. That's okay to lose when it's a close matchup like that to Kelce. Tyreek tips his hat. He says, "Yeah, you're the OG over there. I remember." Oh,
all right, guys. Don't forget, we're going to pick our teams here, and you guys can do the same. Join us and see who can best us in our Wingman Jam. But now it is time to move on to Week 3. We're going to stay with the same style for a little bit. We're going to pick our classic mode, pick our team, and then select our players from that team. All right, Bernie, I'm the winner, so I'm going to pick first. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
I don't care what you think. I'm going to do it anyway. Sorry.
Drop your quarters.
All right, I'm going to pick the Detroit Lions. It's Thanksgiving. We've got to pick the first game of the week. I'm just going to start with that, and then I'll tell you my players later. Which team are you going to go with?
Well, if you're going to go with Detroit, then I'm also going to have to go with a team that is leading in their division, Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, we've got the Lions versus the Eagles. All right, I'm going with my players. You ready? This just shows how much I'm getting fatigued and delirious here. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs, my start of the week. And I can't tell because I'm on Ross questionable. I just don't want to have a dead player here by the chance, even if it's a 10% chance. I'm going with Sam Laporta, the surprise tight end. We saw him last year in that Christmas time area, getting a 3-touchdown game. I think he's going to join us on Thanksgiving this time and get the random good game, and he's going to help. Or Jahmyr Gibbs is going to carry with the weight and going to be good enough by himself. Either way, I am going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. It's on record, people. All right, who are you picking for the Eagles?
Well, I was going to pick Goddard, but I guess I can scratch that off of there now. You do realize I have the Eagles, right? You sure you want to stick with that, Sam Laporta?
Yeah. Like you said, fortune favors the bold, right? All right.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to do Jalen Hurts because he can get a touchdown in the air or he can get a touchdown on his feet. And I'm going to go with Mr. A.J. Brown because Devonta Smith is hurt, so A.J. is going to get some.
All right. Good luck to you, sir. We have some powerhouse teams and some non-powerhouse players, but we'll find out what the score. The Lions will set the bar early on Thursday, later today, guys, and then the Eagles will finish up and see if they can catch up by the end of this week. Remember, guys, put in the comments the team and combination of players that you want to play, and we're doing the Suicide Squad style. If you picked a team before, you can't pick them again, but none of you guys picked a team last week, so they're all available for all you guys out there. So keep that in mind. Good luck to you, sir. That should be fun. That was kind of fun to see how that comes off there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it is now time to get into this week's mailbag.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. Wingman Fantasy Football.
Mailbag! All right, this one is just a follow-up letter, and I appreciate it. This one comes back in from CPG. He says, hey, guys, thanks so much for addressing my challenging penalty calls question. You guys went really in-depth, and you brought up all the same points I was thinking of. As I was writing the question, I was thinking about that the Ravens-Cincinnati game. That was a Thursday night shootout about 2.5 weeks back. So first of all, thanks for writing in, and thanks for the follow-up. And I'm glad we addressed your questions there. And I wish we had just a little more power in making these rule changes. So what do you have on that conversation we had? I thought it was pretty good in CPG's question and follow-up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thank you, and you're welcome.
All right. This is a little irrelevant now, but I didn't want to talk about it a lot in the real time, but earlier in the week, prior to the last week's game, I had mentioned that, this one comes in from Red Sox Nation, and it says, hey, Mike, you mentioned that among the scenarios needed for the Lions to be alive to make the playoffs, that Lions would also need Ben's brilliant team to lose in week 12. But that would only give him 6 wins for Ben. And 6 wins is what Lions was trying to get up to make the playoffs. Yes, you are right, and that 6 wins is what he's looking for. But he also needed the loser of Waddle away and Red Sox Nation the loser of that to lose out. But Ben's brilliant team is playing against both those teams in the future, so the loser of that game would play against Ben. And once Ben got his 6th victory, one of those teams was going to guarantee their 7th victory one way or the other, and that was one too many 7-win teams. Just to show that, just to say, like, if you play it out and who's playing who, Bernie and I had a hard time talking through last time. Like, all right, I think you make it, I think you can't. We had to go through all the if, ands back and forth and what the numbers would end up being. So that's just to clarify that. At this point, it's irrelevant because Lions is a sad, sad puppy. Do you have anything on that particular playoff scenarios or anyone's in the future even?
No, I'm just kind of focused on my own. So they took our jobs. If you could go ahead and take care of Amazing Spidey, that would be great.
Stop asking for people to beat me. They always works. You always get it. All right. This one comes in from Anonymous. Hey, guys, with Thanksgiving right around the corner, what is the most underrated side dish? You can answer this however you want, either rarest or however you want to.
Oh, man. So one of my favorites is creamy, smooth, garlicky mashed potatoes. They just go good with everything. It doesn't matter. You put a piece of ham on your plate, you got mashed potatoes. You putting some turkey on your plate, you got mashed potatoes. You putting a roll with some butter on your plate, you got some mashed potatoes. It goes with everything. You putting some pecan pie on your plate, it goes with everything.
Nice, nice. So of course, my mom makes a couple things that I like here. I'm trying to remember the one recipe and I can't remember it, so I'm not going to say it here. But she's got a green bean, not a casserole, just green beans mixed with bacon and onions, and it's just a greasy beans. It's greasy,
Nice.
green beans, and it's just delicious. And I find that that's the one that, because it's not like mashed potatoes when you're full. It's hard to get that extra scoop full. You're like, I want more. I can't eat anymore. You can just keep down on those because they're nice and light, relatively speaking.
And I'm gonna say something that might piss everybody off.
No, do it.
Yeah, no, that's I've been saving it. Casseroles, stop. Just stop with the casseroles. If it's in a casserole dish, just keep it at home. Just don't put anything in a casserole dish. It just gets soggy, and nobody wants just stop. Mac and cheese in a casserole dish, sweet potato casserole, nobody likes sweet potato. If you like sweet potato, there's something wrong with you. There's regular potatoes next to the sweet potatoes. Just take the regular potatoes. Green bean casserole, like you said, stop with the casseroles. I hate casseroles.
Wow. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, I don't want to say all. I don't want to paint a broad brush and say all casseroles here, but I agree. We're going to get a lot of hate on this one. Leave the comments. Sweet potatoes are the thing I never touch. I maybe take one thing to remind myself, like, nope, I don't like these. I don't like sweet potatoes at all.
They're so bad that they have to start putting marshmallows on them. It's like they can't get anybody to eat this stuff.
Good point. Yeah, if you have to dress up, just your food with it's kind of like green beans and bacon, but it's not like ice cream on top of it.
Come on now.
All right. Let us know if you guys have any side dishes that maybe as we're getting older and maybe getting cross families and stuff. You're like, oh, those guys have that for Thanksgiving. I never thought of that, or I wouldn't have done that. We don't do that at our house. It doesn't mean it's better or not good or bad. Maybe you find something you haven't tried before that is a good thing. Or you're going to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got one more. Because we're all from Florida, or most of us are from Florida. Thanksgiving with a nice key lime pie. I mean, there's always a spread of pies. Your apple pie, your pecan pie, all the good pies. But like nice key lime pie at Thanksgiving, that's a Florida Thanksgiving for me.
Key lime pie is my favorite pie. We are just simpatico today, my man. We're in good shape. All right, we got one more follow-up question here from Anonymous. This one says, hey, guys, what is it that you bring to the table when you're a guest for Thanksgiving? Now, it could be food, it could be jokes. What is it that you bring to the table, Bernie, when you are a guest for a Thanksgiving dinner?
Typically, I don't really...
Casseroles?
No, it's usually like it's a dessert. I don't ever bring like a main dish. So it's usually like ice cream or a pie or a cake. Cheesecake is usually a go-to for me. I love cheesecake, so that's typically what I'll bring. Or for Thanksgiving, it's typically a couple pies.
All right, nice. I'm sure everyone appreciates that. I always bring the mobile bar. I bring a couple different bottles of liquor, a couple chasers, some plastic cups, so I always know that I have one ready to go. And for those who might remember, I was known for having trunk vodka. There was always a little bit of a liquor somewhere stored around, easy to get to. So I'm usually bringing the drinks, or at least enough for me. And anyone else can have some too if they like. But that's I don't want to burden someone with having some quirky liquor that I might like. So I like just to bring my own in that case.
Yeah, there you go, Mr. Bartender.
There you go. All right, guys. Hey, listen, thank you guys all so very much for joining us today. I want to wish you all, we both want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. Good luck on your games, except for some of you. You know who you are. And with that being said, guys, don't forget you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music. And if to search those shows, just type in Wingman the League in those search bars, and we'll pop right to the top. If you want to watch or listen to our show, go to wingmanentertainment.net/podcast. And of course, if you want to see these beautiful faces, I'll be very full with stretchy pants. Go ahead to our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. When you head over there, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment on your most underrated Thanksgiving foods, and also pick your Wingman Jam teams. Come on, guys, let's see what we can get on that community there. So with that being said, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And just want to say thank you, everybody. Thanks for being friends. Thanks for being friendly. And thanks for allowing us to incorporate this lovely broadcast into your lives.
Well said, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.